Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee, nice of you to stop on your way in. You've got to go and take your seat soon. What are you in the film?
I play Rochefort, the right arm of the Cardinal, the King's spy, and the lover of Milady.
I had to ask you what you were, because Pete and I were discussing whether you were Rochefort or Roquefort or some kind of other cheese.
No, this is Rochefort. He is very villainous.
Very villainous indeed.
Yes.
I've seen you more villainous in some of your other films, because you are the arch villain of the film world. Would you not claim to be?
One of them, perhaps. I'm in good company.
And as an arch villain, you are an expert, I understand, in sword play, of which you do a good deal in this film.
I've done a great deal in my career, and I do a great deal in this picture, more in fact than I think I've ever done in all the other pictures. I've done duels with Gregory Peck, Burt Lancaster, Errol Flynn, and many others, and in this picture, as the Cardinal's living sword blade, as I'm described, I have 4 fights. 1 with Oliver Reed, who plays Athos, and 3 with Michael York, who plays D'Artagnan. The first one, which is in this particular film, is in the dark. And then in the next film, there is one on the ice, and another one with Oliver, as I said, Oliver Reed, outside the monastery towards the end of the picture, and then the final fight between D'Artagnan and myself outside the monastery and inside the monastery.
The fights look fantastically impressive. Were they impressive? Were they really hard work, or
Yes.
is this just a press handout?
They were the toughest workout I've ever had in a film, because apart from the obvious heat, we were shooting, as you know, in temperatures which averaged well into the 90s, sometimes well over 100, which was difficult for all of us. This is a completely different style of fighting from, I think, most styles that have been seen in pictures up to now. There's none of this elegance with the left hand held above the head and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, which you've seen in many duels, in many pictures. This is for real, because in those days they fought to kill. And it wasn't just using a sword and a dagger. They used their hands, they used their feet, they used their knees, they butted with their heads. And the sword fights were, I think, superbly arranged by Bill Hobbs, who deserves the very greatest credit. But they were tough, because the swords were heavy and the daggers were heavy and they were real.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be very careful, because you can injure somebody very badly indeed.
Yeah, well, there were certainly no Queensberry rules about the fighting I saw in the film, but I hope the whole thing pays off anyway.
Oh, I think it does.
Christopher Lee, thank you very much.
It's all pleasant.